The intensity is rising, and the energy is off the charts as we dive straight into the latest buzzing updates from across the league. First up, we are looking at none other than Coach Pop, who has been spotted back at Spurs practice and looking sharper than ever. Rumors were flying, but the word is he has been active behind the scenes all season long, leaning on veterans like Tim Duncan and staying in constant contact with his roster to keep that championship standard alive.
Tired of dropping your phone or struggling to prop it up? Meet the Pop Sockets phone grip with expanding kickstand in black, your new must-have accessory. Don't miss out. Grab yours today. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Next, we have to talk about the high-stakes pressure facing the San Antonio Spurs roster as they head into the postseason. It is a defining moment for players like Keldon Johnson and Harrison Barnes, who find their futures on the line based on these upcoming performances. Plus, we are keeping a close eye on De'Aaron Fox to see if he can deliver the leadership needed to lead this squad deep into the playoffs, while trade rumors loom for those who fail to show up when it matters most. Then we have the rallying cry from Keldon Johnson, who is making it crystal clear that every single fan in the arena needs to be wearing their playoff shirts tonight. This is about more than just fashion, as it is about creating that intimidating home court atmosphere for the thousands of fans watching from home who are cheering on the silver and black from around the globe. It is a responsibility to represent the entire fan base and make that arena a pressure cooker for the opposition. Finally, the NBA has dropped the 2025-26 award finalists, and the list is absolutely stacked with talent. Victor Wembanyama is officially headlining the Defensive Player of the Year race, while Keldon Johnson is fighting for 6th Man of the Year honors alongside names like Tim Hardaway Jr. The race for MVP and Rookie of the Year is just around the corner, so do not miss a beat of the action. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to stay locked in on every update. Have you ever wondered what happens when a living legend steps out of the spotlight but refuses to leave the building? If you thought Gregg Popovich had faded into the background, think again. Recent reports from Spurs practice have fans and analysts buzzing, and the verdict is clear. Pop is still the undisputed commander-in-chief in San Antonio. Despite what you might hear on the rumor mill, Coach Pop has been more involved behind the scenes all season than anyone realized. From grinding through rehab sessions with the legendary Tim Duncan to keeping the lines of communication open with weekly check-ins with Keldon Johnson, he is proving that he is still very much the heartbeat of this franchise. Those close to the team are emphasizing that he hasn't skipped a beat. He is as sharp, witty, and demanding as ever. It makes you realize that true leadership isn't just about standing on the sidelines. It is about the quiet, consistent influence that shapes a culture from the inside out. But what do you think? Does the Spurs' future rely on Pop's continued presence, or is it time for the new generation to take the reins completely? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more behind-the-scenes NBA stories. After all, greatness doesn't just retire, it evolves. The wait is almost over, Spurs fans. 2 days out from the postseason, the excitement is palpable, but let's get real for a second. The pressure is just as high as the expectations. We aren't necessarily talking about a championship run here, but we are looking at a litmus test for some key players. In this league, the playoffs don't just reveal character, they determine careers. If these guys can't find their footing under the bright lights, their futures in San Antonio might be shorter than you think. First up, let's talk about Keldon Johnson. After that heartfelt letter to the fans in the Players' Tribune, it feels almost sacrilegious to suggest he might be on the move. But this is a business, and his contract situation is ticking like a time bomb with just 1 year left after this season. If he puts up a mediocre performance, the Spurs might gamble on an extension. But an abysmal showing? That turns this into a high-stakes, prove-it year. The front office isn't looking to get burned like they did with the Jeremy Sochan situation. They need value, not empty departures. Keldon is a locker room glue guy, but at $17 million, he's a movable asset. He needs to show up, or he might find himself in a new jersey sooner than later. Then there's Harrison Barnes. Look, the guy has a reputation for postseason struggles, and some of the hate is definitely overblown. Yes, he played on the biggest stage with the Warriors, and let's not forget he held his own against prime LeBron James back in the day. But we can't ignore the cold hard facts. His 2023 showing against the Warriors was statistically painful. At 34, he's looking for a team-friendly deal to stay in San Antonio, but that only happens if the front office is convinced his playoff woes are just bad luck and not a permanent decline. This series is his audition for a final contract. Finally, we have the De'Aaron Fox situation. His acquisition has been a masterclass in leadership, allowing young guns like Castle and Harper to flourish without stepping on their toes. But now it's time for Sweepa to truly take the lead. If he falters when the game is on the line, the front office might start reconsidering their long-term plans. The Spurs have the guard depth to pivot, and in the NBA, you're only as good as your last performance. So, what do you think? Are these guys going to rise to the occasion, or is a roster shakeup inevitable? Drop your predictions in the comments below, hit that subscribe button to keep up with all things silver and black, and remember, in the playoffs, the only thing that matters is what you do when the pressure is at its peak. Have you ever wondered why NBA playoff games feel like a total war zone? It isn't just the intensity on the floor, it's the sea of color in the stands. Back in 2006, the Miami Heat turned their white-hot initiative into a psychological weapon, creating a uniform look that made fans feel less like spectators and more like a collective force of nature. Now, the Spurs are embracing that same blueprint, but with that signature San Antonio humility. Keldon Johnson recently made it crystal clear. If you're sitting in those seats tonight, putting on the provided playoff shirt isn't optional, it's a duty. He even joked he'd call out anyone not wearing one. But think about the weight behind that. San Antonio has a massive global fanbase, and for the vast majority of those diehards watching from across the globe, attending a game isn't even a possibility. They are cheering from living rooms, bars, and late-night streams, living and dying with every single possession after a painful 7-year postseason drought. When you walk into that arena and slide that shirt over your head, you aren't just one person in the crowd. You are the proxy for thousands of fans who would give anything to be in your shoes. You're part of a unified front that builds the home court advantage, forces the opposition into rushed decisions, and turns the game into a high-pressure cooker. So heed Keldon's words, don't just wear the shirt, wear it with the intensity of every fan watching from home. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more Spurs analysis, and remember, in the playoffs, the atmosphere is just as important as the roster. Are you wearing your colors tonight, or are you letting the team down? The wait is officially over. The hardware race is heating up, and the NBA just dropped the list of finalists for the 2025-26 season awards. If you thought the regular season was intense, just wait until you see who is fighting for the top honors. Leading the charge for Defensive Player of the Year is the alien himself, Victor Wembanyama, who finds himself squaring off against Chet Holmgren and Oscar Thompson. It is a battle of the defensive anchors, and honestly, Wembanyama feels like the clear favorite, but never count out the sheer impact of those other two. Moving over to the most improved player category, the league has highlighted Denny Avdija, Jalen Duren, and Nickel Alexander-Walker. These are guys who took that massive leap forward this year, proving that hard work in the offseason really does pay off. Then we have the Clutch Player of the Year, a category that honestly defines the modern superstar. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards, and Jamal Murray are the last ones standing, and picking a winner here feels impossible because each of them has ice in their veins. For the sixth Man of the Year, it is a scrap between Tim Hardaway Jr., James Jaquez Jr., and Keldon Johnson, the guys who truly make or break a playoff rotation. Keep your eyes glued to the halftime show of the Pistons Magic game later today, because that is when we find out who is up for the big ones: MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Coach of the Year. The winners will be rolled out over the next month as the playoffs rage on. If you want a deep dive into how the experts are voting, check out Kevin O'Connor's full ballot on his channel. So, who are you taking home the trophies? Drop your picks in the comments below, and do not forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up with all the playoff madness. After all, stats are great, but the trophy case is where legends are born.